Our brains are like an algorithm that can be trained to be more positive. One way that you can train your brain to see the world in a more positive light is to focus on and appreciate the casual magic in your everyday life. To me, casual magic is those little moments that could easily pass you by, but when you linger on them for a little bit longer, they can put a smile on your face and ultimately change the way you see the world. Our brains are plastic, which means they're constantly changing and forming new connections based on what we think and do. The more you focus on certain things, the stronger those connections become. I always visualize it like it's building a pathway in your mind. The more you think a certain thought, the stronger that pathway becomes. And therefore, the easier it is for your brain to think that same thought in the future. And the same can go the other way. The less we focus on something, the weaker the pathway becomes, and the harder it is for our brain to travel down that same path again. It's kind of like if you learned an instrument or another language when you were younger, but you haven't practiced since. It might have been familiar to you at the time, and that pathway was really strong in your mind, but the longer it goes without using it, the harder it is for you to play that instrument or speak that language. So if we think about that in the context of casual magic, when we consciously appreciate those casual magic moments, those positive connections start to grow stronger and we're more likely to see and appreciate the beauty around us in the future. Shifting your mindset can be a bit challenging at first. You might be trying to form brand new connections or strengthen weak connections depending on how optimistic you've been in the past. It does take time to shift along the spectrum of positivity. So it's as easy as when you spot something good, just linger on it for that little bit longer than you normally would. It's kind of like training the YouTube algorithm. With YouTube, the more you watch certain content, the more the algorithm puts that content in your feed. The same principle applies to our mind. The more we focus on the positive and beautiful aspects of the world, the more wired our brain will be to appreciate and notice those beautiful things. So by intentionally focusing on those little sparks of casual magic in our everyday lives, we can rewire our brains to think more positively and appreciate the beauty that surrounds us. It's such a simple and wonderful way to make our lives that much brighter. If you like this video, you might like my video on tailored self-care and how it's important to acknowledge your needs when it comes to scheduling in time for self-care. Let me know in the comments what casual magic you noticed today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.